From the heart of Europe to the world, this is RTI.
Welcome and salutations to the world of RTI, Radio Tatras International. Nice to see so many of you chatting online already. You're doing very well, very well. Lilo's there again. There every week. Just there like a rocket from... No, I'm not going there. It's me. I'm here. I'm in Poprad. I'm Eric, and I've still got snow on the mountains. I've had I've had some fights this week. Oh, have I ever? I really have. But first of all, it's none other than Leigh Banks.
Hello.
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 Have you been fighting as well?
Yes.
Oh, man, the fights I've had are just unbelievable. In fact, if I may take this moment to make a professional announcement to say about our fights. This is a message for the village of the damned.
Oh, dear. Yeah, exactly. I did that to a doctor the other day.
Yes, but not from your gob.
Yes. But I did. Arrogant person. Hated it.
That's what they are. Arrogant, ridiculous people. Be careful in the village of the damned, because the sun's going to come out and you won't know what to do.
Hi, Benzu. How are you? I trust you're well. It's the very sane, calm, tranquil...
Beautiful.
You said that before me. Glamorous.
This is supposed to be friendship.
Glamorous.
Gorgeous.
Wonderful.
Sexy.
Eye candy.
Hot pants.
That'll do. You get big-headed in a minute. Her headphones won't fit. It's Rachel Brunsden.
Hello, my headphones are straining. Actually, getting stretched. You know what? I'm not fighting with anybody, and that's a relief. I'm not fighting with anybody. I'm just happy to be alive, and that's a great thing. But I must clarify the things that Uncle Eric was implying about me before the show and the Playboy channel, etc.
Exactly.
Utter fiction. I don't limber up in that way. I have to limber up before I do those things. But I wasn't.
Yeah.
I love it.
He was very rude, Rachel. In fact, I think he should be arrested.
What?
I think he's a bit freaky today.
Do you think I should go and have a lie down?
No, because what you'll end up doing if you do that.
You should just put your jogger bottoms back on so the blood starts flowing.
Yeah, see, I'm wearing trousers. That's the whole problem.
Yep.
Oh, for goodness
constriction.
Yeah, there's no Victor Sylvester about. That's the trouble, and that's a very old joke for old people.
Yeah, no ball. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Before we get started on the programme, got to say Happy St Patrick's Day around the world.
St Patrick's Day. Hey. Patrick McManus and all your family.
Yeah. Yes, right. And with no further ado, we shall dive into the show, kind of differently-ish. If he's there, which he's not, because he's not answering the phone, which is
naughty boy.
What a naughty... No, he has answered the phone.
He's there now.
That's all right. His wife's unplugged him from the main socket in the wall. It's none other than the vivacious author at the moment, Paul Rusling.
Yay!
I'm here, Eric. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Wow, what was that?
I have no idea. I think it was supposed to be a sound effect, but it went wrong.
Why? What did you do?
Anyway, good afternoon to you, and afternoon to everyone else.
Good afternoon.
It's probably good evening.
Good afternoon.
She's lived half a lifetime more than we have already today.
This is true. Exactly. This is true. Rachel's like that. Now, there was a little spatter a couple of weeks ago, and I think, if my colleagues will correct me, I had a little rant about a sheet that we've got our hands on about how to run your radio show.
Well, the repercussions of that went around the world, Eric, because I had a call from a lady at the far side of the United States, from Portland, and that was Jessie Brandon.
Oh, right.
We were just about rolling on the floor giggling, laughing at this ridiculous email being sent out by someone. Is he running a couple of ILR stations or something?
No, I will tell you who it was. I don't mind, because, I'm never going to work for him again.
Who was it?
It was Bauer.
It was in the Bauer Group. Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know who the PD was, but he had the temerity to lecture his disc jockeys on what they should say and what they shouldn't say, and how many seconds they were allowed per link, and that they should clear all their dialogue first with the program director. And Jesse and I just couldn't believe it because, as Jesse said, this is really radio school for kids. And it's the first thing you learn in the States. Most people end up in radio, start their careers in a radio station in school. They have school kids making radio programs when they're 13, 14 years old. And it's some of the basic stuff they teach them. So if that guy at Bauer has to teach his disc jockeys what to say and how to say it and not to say things out of turn. I mean, basically what he's saying is, I'm sorry, guys, I've hired the wrong people for this job. None of you know what you're doing, so I'm going to teach you radio basics.
Yes.
And they've got those people running radio stations.
Well, let me put it this way. Could you imagine getting all the verbal content, I'm being very careful here, verbal content of Mr. Banks passed by a programme director?
Thank you very much.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It really is.
They
I can't believe that radio stations have, stooped to this kind of level today. It's really awful, and it just words fail me.
I know what you mean. Anyway, let's help.
Eric, I've got plenty to say about it.
Yeah, well, let's help them out because you've actually authored a brand new book. It's all about radio programming, but it's centric to the 1980s station called Laser. And
it is, yeah. It's based on that.
And how they did. So, how did this come to pass, this book? Where did it start?
Well, I wrote another book about, late last year, I wrote a book about the Communicator, which was quite a remarkable ship, and it was home to, a grand total of 11 radio stations over its time. So I was going to call it 11 Shades of the Communicator, and my wife wouldn't let me. She said, "Oh, no, you can't be suggestive. People will get offended at that." But anyway, it was about those different stations that were on that one ship, and it was mostly a techie kind of book on this is how the transmitter works, and this is a picture of somebody, this is where they saw the ghost go behind the transmitter and all that stuff. And a lot of people contacted me again earlier this year after they'd read it over Christmas and said, but what about the program output of Laser? That's really what most people are interested in. How did it win, getting on for 10 million listeners? What did it all comprise? How was the music chosen? And how did they put it all together? And did it have a hot clock? Because that's become the new buzzword now for the last 20-odd years, apparently. Radio stations in the UK have a hot clock. Well, Laser didn't. People think Laser brought the hot clock to England. It didn't. Laser had 4 hot clocks. Blimey. And if you try and run a radio station on one, you're going to bore your listeners to tears very quick. So you have 4. You have 2 for alternate hours. Yeah. Otherwise, it gets very samey from one hour to the next. So you go A, B, A, B. And then after about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you say, we can't play this stuff for the rest of the night. So you have a different sort of output at night. And the station should sound a little bit different to the night time.
Well, do you know what I have in my possession?
What's that?
I have the clocks of Radio Luxembourg.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, they did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I think Luxembourg brought it in just after Laser, didn't they? Because, of course, there was a general sort of procession of disc jockeys that went from Laser to Luxembourg. Jesse Brandon, who we were just
but hang on, I've just thought of something.
And
Paul, hold on a minute. There's probably a lot of people going, yeah, I got a clock as well. It's on the kitchen wall. What are we talking? What have you got?
Not the same clock.
Not the same clock.
Explain. About to ask.
Explain.
Yeah, no, the hot clocks I'm talking about is a kind of diagram of the hour, and it just allocates different portions of the hour to playing different types of music and where the jingles go and that sort of stuff. And unless you stick to that, it's very easy to sit there in the studio, as you guys know, and just let your enthusiasm run away with you, and it just becomes less structured. And really, you have to be structured to attract the largest amounts of listeners. And that's where Liz succeeded, because they brought professional radio ideas to the dial, and it worked. It attracted listeners. And of course, prior to 1983-84, UK radio was a little bit, the BBC idea was to have a patchwork quilt of programmes, but the horizontal programming throughout the week and throughout the broadcast day is something that some stations had learned by then. Caroline was the first one to do it, where you had a disc jockey on for several hours and so on. But Laser had lots and lots of programming techniques and, dare I say it, programming secrets. Well, they were secret, and so I wrote this book.
Now,
but, you know, I mean, it's 30-odd years ago, but it's amazing that the impact that Laser had, because Laser did a lot of things, apart from nicking all these listeners, and there were howls of protest from the established stations.
Oh, and
BBC,
Paul, I remember.
From the ILR station.
I remember.
You remember, Eric?
Yeah, Radio Essex actually had the temerity to complain that they were stealing their listeners. Now, what they should have done,
right.
They should have upped their game to get the listeners back. But they didn't. They went crying to Daddy and said, "Please, Mr. Radio Authority, these nasty people have stolen our listeners because they're better than us." And they complained.
I bet there's lots of listeners must be, you know, amazed that they could be stolen like that. But they were, you know, I mean, Laser took that audience and people, you know, like the Eddie Blackwell character at Essex Radio, who came to me with a strange plan of, could I get Laser closed down? Well, at the time I could, because I had a couple of bits of paper in my pocket, well, in my cabinet at home in the bureau, which basically said I could hire and fire captains on the ship. And they had another thing. I said, I need a bundle of cash. Because the people on Laser would have happily shut the station down if I'd have paid over the money they were owed. What we didn't tell Essex Radio and so on was it would have opened up again the next day with a slightly different name. Yeah. But that's all another story. The famous plot of 1984. Gave the journalists a field day, didn't it, Leigh? Where are we?
I'm in Poprad, you're in England, Leigh's in England, Rachel's in Australia.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go up to make a successful radio station. You know, the music choice, jingles, where to slot all the items in. That really is programming. I mean, even things like the pace of delivery. It probably sounded like well, it did to me anyway. But to some listeners, some of the Laser jocks were almost on sleeping tablets some of the time. Mm-hmm. It's not true, they weren't, but they had been told by New York to slow down the delivery and the pace of delivery. Yep. You know, because Roy Lindow knew exactly what I'd told him about Swing Radio England, which is basically what Laser was based on. Mm-hmm. And that if you just come in like Ron O'Quinn did back in the day, and Larry Dean, and hit them between the eyes with hot rocking, flame-throwing boss jocks and so on, it would perhaps be just a little bit too much. It certainly was for everyone in 1966. Mm. And so the Laser jocks were told to actually slow down the delivery and so on.
Yeah, but that all makes sense. Funnily enough, Leigh and I were talking about this earlier in the office, and I was talking about news delivery especially, where people don't realise if you're in, say, a big articulated vehicle and you go over a thundering great bump, and I'm sure Rachel can back me up on this one, especially in Australia, you go over these big bumps on rough roads and the lorry judders for ages and you miss half of what the people are saying because you can't hear it. They're going too fast.
Yes, that's right.
You know, you've got to slow down. Just very quickly. Hi to Mohammed. Hi to Halran. Hello.
Halran?
Yeah. Alex is back from last week again. Hello, Alex. Nice to have you back again with us on the show. We're talking to Paul Rusling about his new book, Programming of a Radio Station a la Laser Radio. And I have to say, Paul, that some of the music is obviously... and was obviously very important.
Absolutely.
And they broke the mould. How did they sort of break the mould? How did that come to pass?
Well, it was in the selection of the types of music. There was one element of music programming that was missing from UK radio until Laser came along, and that was something called a recurrence. And once a record was a hit, radio stations would play it, although they couldn't play it very much because they were limited in airtime. I mean, at the time, Radio 1 could only have 7 hours a day of needle time. BBC local stations were limited to an hour a day. And the ILR ones didn't fare much better. I think they had 9 hours a day. Laser, of course, came in, was playing 20 hours a day of music, and you're never more than a minute away from music, of course. But the important thing is, it wasn't just hits and then mouldy old goldies from the 1960s. There was something called recurrence, and Laser used to get behind stuff that had dropped out of the charts, but was still very popular. And one of the tracks that we did it with had a particular line, "Hit Me With Your Laser Beams" by Holly Johnson. Well, the record was Relax, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and that had been up at the top of the charts, and it was dropping down again. And Laser revived it, flogged it to death that summer, and it just became the track. I mean, the reason Laser played it a lot was "Hit Me With Your Laser Beams," and you could fire all those zaps and so on over it. So it just kind of worked. And it became the Laser record. And I mean, it started going back up the charts and up, and it went back up to the top. And, I mean, the Laser Jocks were due to get a gold disc for that. And New York vetoed and nixed that idea and said, "Oh, no, we can't do that because we might be controversial, so we won't do it." So the Laser Jocks didn't get that gold record they should have deserved. But I think basically, Eric,
but Paul, let me keep you there for a second, because what Laser did was it actually proved that if you are working with your audience, you can achieve massive things. And the most embarrassing one, of course, for the BBC, was Laser's own single, which charted.
Yes, that's right. And there were a couple. There was the Laser Love one, and there was the I Spy from the DTI. Mm-hmm. Although that was right at the end of Laser's life, and that was a. I mean, that should have been organised by Radio Caroline for the mess up that was, because the song was being played in the summer, and then the Eurosiege really lended it lots of credence, and the thing didn't actually hit the shops until late October, by which time Laser was over. Wound up on the 5th of November that year.
Yeah.
But I think, Eric, radio's kind of lost its way now. And one of the things that peeves me most is that radio's lost its training ground. That training ground for the in the overnight shows, the grave shift shows, where you'd put on new disc jockeys to try them out and so on. That's been snatched away. And I think, the radio programmers have made a big mistake there. It's not suicidal, perhaps, but it's definitely some element of self-harming.
I totally agree with you, Paul. We put Leigh on overnight, but then we put Leigh Banks on overnight, then he snuck into the evenings.
Well, there is a glimmer of light on the horizon, because the UK authorities are now actually consulting with stakeholders, and that means all listeners as well, and asking them, which way they think radio should go. And even Stevie Wonder's getting into the battle. I'm just in the middle, halfway through today, of writing a blog piece about Stevie Wonder's. He's just written a brilliant piece, and it's going on my blog later today, and it says, basically, I mean, one of the things he says is that many radio DJs are actually bigger stars than the musicians, and this is one of the world's most respected musicians that's saying this. I don't know if most of your listeners know, but Stevie Wonder does have his own radio station out in Los Angeles called, let me get this right, KJLH, which stands for Kindness, Joy, Love and Harmony or something. Mm-hmm. But anyway, you'll find all that on my blog later on. Mm-hmm. Listen, Eric, this book, there's a radio program. It's got lots and lots of stuff in there. It's even got a copy of the Laser Operations Manual that basically told the crew how to put the whole thing together. And it's bound to be of interest to anyone that's even remotely interested in radio programming or in laser or radio ships. And that should really include the people who work in radio programming today.
I think you should send one to Bauer.
They should bloody buy one. But if they want to, why don't we have a little competition to win a free copy of the book? And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put 2 copies of the book up for people for a very quick competition. All you've got to do is send a quick email, give us the name of the radio ship that Laser broadcast from. All right, so just send that.
You're already going to get Anorax doing that.
Email, Paul. I claim one of those books. I've just emailed you.
Oh, you can't. You've got the wrong address because I haven't given you the name yet. It's rti@worldofradio.co.uk.
rti@worldofradio.co.uk. And the question that Paul has set you is, what was the name of the ship that Laser broadcast on? And a free book will be on its way to you, courtesy of Paul's 2. So the first 2 out of the hat will get one of these wonderful books.
But what we'll do, Eric, I think we'll make it easy for everyone, because some people don't listen to the programme until the Saturday when they've got time, or they wait until the kids get home and then put it on.
Yep.
So we'll do one by the end of the programming, and I'll send you an email about 10 to 1, 5 to 1, tell you who was won the first one.
Right, okay.
And then the other one, we'll do it by next week.
Oh, blimey, no, you can't. We'll have to redo that because I haven't got my office laptop in here, so it kind of screws it a bit.
Right. I can give you a ring, can't I?
Yeah, you want me to be helpful and tell everybody what the answer is?
No!
No, don't you...
No, you're just so mean. You're so
No! No!
Listen to me, I'll tell you. Email me, I'll give you the answer.
Leigh!
What?
There is a rule of radio, right? And when you're
breaking all the rules, I don't work for Bowyer.
No, but the rule of
Leigh, you probably don't even know how to spell the name of the radio.
Well, that's probably true. But the rule of the competition is simple, Leigh. When you do a competition, you do not communicate the answer to the listeners.
I've got a copy of the book anyway. You can all get lost.
Anyway, Uncle Leigh, the SS Minnow is not correct.
This what, darling?
The SS Minnow wasn't the name of that ship.
No.
It's the Blue Pig.
Oh, Paul, I give up. You do your best, but you must have suffered this yourself.
I have once or twice. Yeah.
So listen, hang on, Paul. Before we get completely sidetracked on everything, give us the question and the email address again, please, and we'll leave it open ended so that you can just draw two out at some time by the end of the weekend or something like that.
We'll get it sorted. Anyway, there's two copies of the book here, going into envelopes, and what you have to do is just tell us on a quick email the name of the radio ship that Laser broadcast from.
Right.
Okay. If you misspell it, well, okay, that's okay, because there's a few times when I'm typing it up, it gets sent back by the proofreader. Oh, yes, we do have a proofreader. And
gosh, Paul, you're not telling me you make mistakes like normal people.
We all make mistakes. It was the biggest topic on Question Time last night.
Absolutely.
People make mistakes.
They do.
If you don't make mistakes, then you're not human. You're somehow inhuman.
No, I will.
I dare say there might be one or two errors in the book.
I've
not read it yet because
Paul,
I've not had time.
I'm going to stop you there because if you don't make mistakes, the only person you're kidding is yourself.
I will tell Andrea that.
Right.
She says she doesn't.
Well.
Anyway, and anyone who wants to buy a copy of the book, by all means, just email us at that same address. We'll do RTI at World of Radio. World of Radio is all one word. .co.uk.
And there you go from there.
We promise we will review the book next week on the ConsumerWatchFoundation.com.
There you go.
Oh, excellent. Oh, well, I shall be listening to that. And,
there you go, then.
If it's any good, I'll buy another copy myself.
Well, it's very good. I've got a copy you can have, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, a quick hello to
I bet you'd sell it to me as well.
You probably would. Right, quick hello to... Hold on a minute.
For a fiver.
Shush! A quick hello to GRV and a quick hello to Rabbits who have joined us again, as they do each week. Paul, a million thanks for coming and joining us during your kind of lunch break, or was it siesta? I don't know. And good luck with the book. I know it's. I've got mine to read. I started and I just have been so busy. But I'll have a sit and a read properly. Probably take it to the bathroom. That's a good idea.
Actually, Eric, while we've been... okay, we've even got some entries through already, so...
there you go, then. So you could have a bit of fun with those. Thank you ever so much. Don't forget, it's RTI at worldofradio.co.uk to enter Paul's competition. Thank you for the books. And also, if you want to find out more about that particular book and other books that Paul has done, use the same address because it's easier just having one to try and remember in these busy days of too many. Paul, million thanks. Have a lovely day, sir.
Cheers, Paul.
Okay, and have a great weekend, listeners and everyone else around. Not forgetting Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Bye.
Yeah,
Rachel. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you, Rachel.
See you.
Bye.
Ta-ta, mate. That's Paul Rusling there. So don't forget, get your entries in RTI at worldofradio.co.uk. And Rach, don't worry, I'll get something sent to you as well, dear.
Thank you. I feel so far away when these things happen.
I know you do. You feel so left out, darling.
You're like our very own Cinderella, aren't you?
She is.
Yes, and I have to clean everything, which is even worse.
That's right. You've only got one glass slipper, so you'll have to get rid of a leg.
Oh, no. It's terrible, isn't it? Anyway, thanks to Paul Rusling for bringing it on. And seriously, Paul was intimating, and I'm going to intimate stronger. please, those in charge of the great medium that is radio, respect it, look after it, nurture it, bring new people on. It's not for old dead people. We're not playing in a cemetery. We're
supposed me and you outrage, isn't it?
Well, me. It's called entertainment radio, and that's what it's all about. So please, 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 stop telling DJs how to do their job, because if you have to do that, you've employed the wrong people, as Paul said. We move on to...
Did he just tell me off? Did he just tell me off saying I couldn't do something? So he's just done exactly what he's moaning about.
No.
Moaning.
I wasn't remooning.
What?
I wasn't remooning. I wasn't remooning.
Can I just say, very quickly, that I know Paul Rusling. He's a lovely, lovely, lovely man. We've connected on all sorts of things. And on the ConsumerWatchFoundation.com, we have reviewed his last book, which was very interesting, particularly to people who are interested in that. And we will be reviewing this book. So if you want to know more about him and read things about books,
God. Panic. What? Rage, what? Panic.
What?
Rage. He's going to read the book. Mr. Banks.
Be very nice about it.
Yeah, but he's going to read the book, then he's going to be intolerable and say, Eric, you've done it all wrong, you know. You've done it all wrong, you know.
I've already started
reading a book.
We move on.
I've already started reading it.
We got to squeeze some other topics in before the break, boys and girls.
That's not the way you do it. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Steve Buttery was an amazing journalist, and he actually, believe this or not, he tweeted his own death. Amazing.
Well, he was the very first journalist to actually use Twitter. He made Twitter basically what it is today.
No, he didn't.
No. That's a fabrication. You...
Oh, I'm just sorry. It is. I agree. I accept it. And like Paul Rusling said, anybody can make a mistake as long as you put it right immediately.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Sanny's on there on the chat room and was about to have a minor heart attack.
Yeah.
Really?
I apologise. I got it totally wrong. You're right.
Good. But he was a very vivacious writer on Twitter, that is for sure. And I think he gave Twitter a bit of credence as well.
That's basically what I said. I just said it in a more dramatic fashion.
No, he didn't.
He didn't?
No.
Hey, Rach.
Yeah.
The sky at night is black.
Well, it depends where you're standing. And if you got your eyes shut, it really is. But...
Oh, never mind. Now, I'm probably going to say this all wrong. The producer, Fred Weintraub, is how I would say it.
Weintraub.
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 It must be Vine.
No, it's wine.
It's Germanic.
Yeah, well, they usually say V's for W's, but then they've invented the VW, and so now they use W's as well as V's.
Not in America, mate.
Not in America.
Did I say America?
You were right. You were right, Uncle Lee. It's Weintraub.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway,
so I apologise to the public for getting it wrong, Mr. Wiltsher.
Anyway, the producer of Enter the Dragon, that's the gentleman in question. He sadly passed away, as has We Are Family. Joni Sledge.
No longer.
Joni Sledge of Sister and Sledge. Sadly, she's died. One of the amazing divas of the disco sound. Absolutely phenomenal.
She was.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's only 60.
I know. That's what's so tragic. Somebody who had a really good long life, and one of my, I have to say, boyhood heroes, John Surtees, the motorcyclist and Formula One champion, has died.
Did you know that? Because I didn't know that until I read this.
He was one of my heroes, Leigh.
I know he was only a hero. So I'm saying I didn't know that he was a Formula One world champion as well, though.
Yeah. Because he went.
I was just being polite.
Well, yes, I agree. I get your point. But he was, a champion on 2 wheels, and then went on to be a champion on 4 wheels. What a guy! Amazing.
He was in the Grand Prix. He was a Grand Prix racer.
A Grand Prix racer.
Rachel, will you just tell him off?
I was going to say something, but it's really poor taste, so I'm not.
Right. Oakley dokily then. Well, we better take a commercial break, boys and girls. We'll be back in about, as Paul said, never more than a minute away.
RTI.
Everybody okay? Remember your training, all right?
RNLI lifeboat crews are unpaid volunteers. They rescue 22 people every day. On a lifeboat, training is a matter of life and death, and it costs £1,000 a year for each crew member. As a charity, we receive no UK government funding, so our crew's safety depends entirely on your donations. Please call 0800 543 210 and donate £20 or whatever you can afford. Because next time, this could be for real.
RTI.
Welcome back to part 2 of Postcard from Poprad with me, Eric. Lee's over there in the UK, and taking the reins straight away, it's Rachel down in Australia.
Yeah. This is a terrible story. It's about the hip-hop group Brunsden, which are based in Sydney. One of their stunt people was killed making a video. He was shot with a blank, and sadly it went awry, and he died. It's very reminiscent of Brandon Leigh when he was filming The Crow. It's just horrific.
Of course, yeah.
The police are still investigating, but they've been very clear to say that it was not a loaded gun, and that all the people involved in this particular stunt were professional stunt people, and there was an armourer there as well to make sure the guns were safe, but clearly not very, because this poor fella got stopped in his tracks by a blank, which is very, very scary. So, don't try this at home.
It's very unusual. It can happen, but it's very, it's 1,000,000 to 1 chance, but it can happen. Yeah. And I think, tribute to the band for doing what they're doing as well, Rach.
Yeah, I mean, they're raising money for his family. They're doing all sorts of things, and they are still going to release the video under sort of a bit of a cloud, but his family and friends have said he would want them to release the video.
He was a stuntman. He would want it. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. That's what he did for a living. So, and these guys are renowned for gathering together crowds of people, of just regular people and their fans to be in their videos as well, none of which were anywhere near these weapons, I might point out. They were very clear about the safety issues. But, I mean, it's just a horrific freak accident, and it's very, very sad.
Indeed so. Brilliant story to follow up with. A gentleman back in 2013 was, he was convicted of murdering a Taliban insurgent. Now, I'm sorry, I don't like the word insurgent. I prefer to call them Taliban murderers, because that's what they really are. And a court-martial hearing, he was convicted. Then an appeal court in London, his wife came out, absolutely the biggest smile you've ever seen anywhere on the planet, I've got to say, because the judges had changed the conviction to manslaughter, and it means that instead of the Marine being jailed for his life, he will walk free within a couple of days. And I've got to say, and I wouldn't normally, but a lot of that weight that was put on the judges to make a decision was from the newspaper, the Daily Mail in the UK. And they also funded the £800,000 legal charges that were sitting there as well, which obviously a poor little soldier and his missus would never be able to do. So hats off to the Daily Mail for that. Well done.
Well, it is. It's the Daily Mail is one of the main campaigning newspapers in the world today, really.
Indeed.
And this is just the sort of thing that people forget, that the British press and a lot of the press throughout the world do as a matter of course and put things right.
Yep, absolutely. And they just do.
It's a complicated story, though, where a bloke's been... He's a soldier. He was suffering from combat stress. He committed an act which he was trained to do, but didn't do it in the way that he would be expected to do it. And so now he is still going to be classed as somebody who committed an act of manslaughter.
Indeed. GCHQ has dismissed totally a claim that British spies were employed to bug Donald Trump's towers. They've replied, which is very unusual for GCHQ. They don't normally comment at all. But in this case, GCHQ has said it's utterly ridiculous. And it seems to be the way certain things are going at the moment with Mr. Trump. But I would suggest to you, sir, don't take on GCHQ. They're really, really decent people. So if you tell porkies about them, it's going to hit you on the backside.
Now, now it's a bit premature to say that he was telling porkies, isn't it? Because he's made a claim, and GCHQ have taken the extraordinary step of actually answering it. But at the moment, who's telling the truth? Who did what to who?
GCHQ will tell the truth.
Are they not a spy organisation?
No, they're a listening post.
They're a listening post who carry out covert activities in the defence of the secrecy of our realm. So why then do we assume that they will automatically tell the truth?
Because the counter side to this argument is a side renowned for telling porkies and themselves and delivering fake news. They fact check him every day in the New York Times, and the outlandish lies that this administration tells is hilarious and ridiculous. Infuriating. So on the record, on the track record of both, I tend to believe these lovely British people and not these big cheeseal heads in America.
Indeed. Sorry, guys, we've got to move on. A ruling this week has kind of ended, and it's very confusing for me, religious and political signs being worn in the workplace. In other words, if the boss says you cannot wear some clothing because it constitutes a religious symbol or a political symbol, then that boss has the right in his workplace to say no. I have no problem with that at all. None whatsoever.
I only have this story came off the ConsumerWatchFoundation.com, where it was quite a big feature.
He's good at getting the plugs in. He ought to just record them.
Yeah, but no, seriously, the British bosses and bosses in Europe have the right to say to somebody who displays something which might be politically or religiously overt, they have the right to say to that person, don't wear it. Mm-hmm. But only if they are dealing with customers face to face. Now, this new ruling, which actually rules out the wearing of headscarves as well, has moved that on to the fact that actually bosses can stop their people wearing religious symbols if they deal with people outside of the office, which is ludicrous. Nothing's changed, but what it's done, it's ratified something that could well start to be used against people in so many ways. And why in God's name can't you wear a gold cross on a chain round your neck because you've had the temerity to get a job?
Well, let me give you the fatherly side of this one. Many years ago, when my youngster was at the infant school in the UK, she wanted to wear crosses. She had pierced ears and wanted to wear a cross. And she's actually gone on to work for the church, so that's how deep her belief is. Yes. And that she was told, in no uncertain terms, she was not allowed to wear them. And yet other people from other countries, and I'm not talking about Far Eastern countries, I'm talking about European-based countries almost, were allowed to wear their symbols because it was culturally acceptable. And I found that totally offensive. I marched up to the school in my big marching way and told the head teacher a few home truths. I did have quite significant clout at the time to support my arguments. And the thing is, look, I live in a different country to my mother country. I cannot, not that I will not, I cannot impose my views into this country. I came here. I was not forced to come here. It was my own free will to live in this country. And therefore I have to embrace the rules of this country, not my mother country.
This isn't just talking about people who come into another country and should abide by the rules of that new country. Whether, in fact, that is actually a politically correct statement or not is debatable. Mm-hmm. But this affects people who are indigenous to this country, no matter what their creed, colour or conversation is like.
Yep.
That's what it's about. And what it's saying, I find this absolutely shocking, that the biggest court in Europe can rule that bosses can tell people that they must deny, they must hide their religion. Why do we have to hide our religion? Of course it is to say you can't wear a cross, you can't wear a so you can't wear anything.
No. What they're saying is it's one rule. Either you do or you don't. And it goes across the board. So if you've got, say, a Muslim and a Christian both wanting to wear religious symbols, both have to be able to do it or none are able to do it. And that's okay. I can get that.
Well, that's the way it is now anyway. That's what I'm saying. This is a reaffirmation of something that actually exists, but starts to reaffirm racist attitudes. People are stupid. And stupid people can run businesses, and stupid people can operate these kind of stupid rules in a stupid way that causes.
And other stupid people can manipulate the rules to make it look like racism when it isn't.
That's right. What a dangerous thing.
The thing that concerns me about this is to what end? I mean, where does it end? They've opened the door to something supremely dangerous.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Well said, Rach.
Yeah.
We're all
not good, fellas.
No, it's not good. Farmers living in central Tolima, which is a province in Colombia, were reported as seeing a UFO crash in a field. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. UFO.
I put this up and it told me off.
Ha, 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 ha. It was a balloon.
Why, ha, ha, ha? Why?
Because all the conspiracy theorists went off into a lunatic thing, going, the aliens are coming, and it wasn't. It was a balloon.
The aliens are not coming. They're all living in my house.
This is now. Come on! Don't be glib, Uncle Eric. Just because you got your tight pants on, settle down. We're not, as a species, we're not arrogant enough to think we're the only beings in the universe.
No.
Start.
Some of us are.
But I mean, what's to say? Something didn't fly overhead and just have a quick look at. I mean, the likelihood of it being true is pretty remote.
Well, it's actually been proven it was an internet balloon.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, and I really dislike conspiracy theorists, and I think they should be gathered into a barn and the doors locked and it's set on fire. That's a bit extreme, but that's how I feel.
I think we should conspire to do that, Ray.
Do too, but I mean, there is a possibility that there's something out there that might want to have a look and see what
I agree.
What we stupid people are doing to our lovely planet.
It was an internet balloon. This isn't a story. Somebody saw something fall out of the sky and said, I don't recognise that. So it's a UFO, which is quite a reasonable thing to say. Then it landed, they picked it up, so no, it's an internet balloon. So why is that story gone round the world?
Because the conspiracy theorists went, it's an alien.
Yeah, but it isn't. It's an internet balloon.
I quite agree. That's what I'm saying. Don't believe them. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have arrived in Paris for an official visit on the same week that some stupid people were saying that Prince William has been neglecting his royal duties. Excuse me?
That was so stupid. That made our news, and I saw it at 5:30 in the morning on the very first bulletin, and I thought, what are you smoking, you people? What are you doing? I couldn't believe it.
This is a guy having a break from piloting an air-sea rescue helicopter where he puts his life in danger more days than the rest of them put together. And they say, he's neglecting his duties. No, he's not.
And I'll bet you a lot of cash. I've got about $3 on me now. I'll bet you those $3 that he has more respectable breaks than many of the people who are writing about him.
Correct. Boys and girls, relax. Take breath. It's nearly there. Australia, we love you. We love you, Australia. We adore you, Australia. The first Grand Prix of the year, 24th to the 26th of March in Australia. F1 is back.
In Melbourne, I've got to tell you, and do you know what I'm doing for that weekend? Because that's my birthday weekend. Do you know what I'm doing?
What?
To celebrate F1?
You're going away.
I'm flying far away from here. I'm going to Brisbane to go to the World Science Convention with my friend Paul, who you know, Paul from Toowoomba.
Indeed. Staying with Australia.
What a boring thing a Grand Prix is.
Stay with Australia. A woman has spoken of her horror after her battery-powered headphones exploded on her face as she slept on a flight. And now the Australian Transport Safety Bureau are issuing a warning, Rach.
Well, it's pretty basic common sense. You can't carry lithium batteries in an aircraft. You just can't. It's dangerous.
Yes.
If you send a parcel with DHL or FedEx or UPS or whoever, they always have a little checklist and say, have you got lithium batteries in any of this gear? And you say, no, if you're telling the truth, like a good citizen, because they are very dangerous when they're in pressurised circumstances. And that's what happens. So take out your lithium batteries, people.
There, you see, now you've been told, madam. It was your problem, not anybody else's.
Do it. I mean,
again, why is this a story? I don't understand why this is a story. I don't mean why we've got it. I mean, why it's a story. This woman just did something wrong and paid the consequences.
But the point is...
It's interesting when somebody catches on fire.
No, it's because initially...
If it's spontaneous combustion, yeah.
Initially, I'm so pleased Rachel's done her work experience tonight, and because she's talking about something she really, really knows about. And... The media went bonkers as if the girl was completely divorced of any responsibility whatsoever. And
That's my point.
And yet, they still ran the story. How silly is that?
But they also didn't mention that their headphones were her own. They didn't say that.
No.
They only said headphones. So, I mean, immediately people all around the world are pulling out the headsets that are given to you by the nice cabin crew because I'm going to catch on fire. Ooh. These were her own. They were her own. They were battery operated and they blew up in her face or on the side of her head, really, in her ear.
Hello, Volcano. How are you? Just joined us. Staying in Australia. Sorry, Leigh. One of Australia's most notorious criminals is to be released from prison and deported back to England.
Yes! Bring them back. Bring them all the criminals back.
Well, there'll be nobody there apart from Aboriginals.
Wouldn't that be a good thing?
That's true. Although Perth would be really empty because most of the Poms are there. But this guy is a known violent offender and he terrorised a lot of people. And
he's 83.
He expects to get out of prison and for us to say, well done, here's citizenship. I don't think so. Bye-bye, back where you came from. Ta-da, you broke the law. Bye-bye.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely flipping right.
Australia?
What?
Oh, very long time. But that doesn't give you the right to be a naughty man, does it?
No.
I'm just wondering.
If he was a shoplifter, I'd say give the old fella a break. He had violent crimes and was involved in shootouts with police. He was a notorious bad guy and... We don't want those people. I don't care how old and decrepit you are. If you've got an evil heart...
Why have we got to have it back, though? Why have we got to have it back?
Because that's where he holds his passport. He's got a British passport holder. Back to origin. Ta-da, return to sender.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. I totally agree.
I couldn't either. I agree.
Yeah, there we go. A pastor that's a priest to everybody else in Sierra Leone has only found one of the largest uncut diamonds. And then do you know what he's done? Such a good citizen, he took this 706-carat diamond and he gave it to the president.
Oh,
you'd have thought he'd have kept it for his church.
I think I just kept it for myself.
But you're not very Christian type, are you?
Well, you just stick it in the safe.
Oh, I suppose so. All right, okay, miserable. The next story I love because I was watching the TV when this happened, and I was on the floor laughing. And the reason I was laughing is this: you got this very sort of well-spoken gentleman, Robert Kelly, who's a professor, talking about South Korea and stuff like that, all the politics of it. And then in walks the two children who come round towards his desk, at which point the mummy comes in and she drops to the floor like a soldier would drop to the floor when a gun goes off. Doof! Down the floor. And she's crawling on all fours trying to get these children out and duck behind another desk. And it was hysterical. How the newsreader kept it together, I have no idea. I would have lost it. It was just phenomenal. And now they don't understand. He said, I don't know why it's gone viral.
Well,
It's hilarious.
The wife has recreated the situation with her sitting there being interviewed, and he has to rescue the children, and that's very funny too.
Oh, okay. A little girl aged 7 wins a YouTube competition to perform on stage with Justin Bieber.
This is terrible. But again, it's a completely flawed story. I'll tell you why.
Well, you can tell us that in a minute. And she's going to the concert in Sydney. We've got a lot of Australia in this week. And why is it a flawed story then, Uncle Leigh?
Well, basically, what's happened is it's a nice, touching story. As a journalist, I understand how these kind of stories work. And basically, this girl was going to perform on stage.
She was going to enter a competition. That's the key.
No, she entered and she won. And
yes,
she didn't read the whole story. Come on, mate.
That's right.
That's one. Tell it, Rach.
He entered the competition, and it happened in every state that Justin Bieber did concerts in. They auditioned local kids by YouTube competition. Certain kids were chosen to jump on stage and dance a number with his backup dancers and him, and that was the prize. So she got there, she did it. She didn't think she was going to get chosen, but she did. On she goes. Mum's there, filming the whole thing, then all of a sudden realises she didn't press record on her phone. So she's missed the actual performance with her phone, which is hilarious.
Absolutely.
But the reason it's flawed is because I've actually seen the video.
I know other people got it, but she didn't.
People got
but
it.
the mum didn't get it.
So again, this is just a non-story. I know I put it in, but it's actually a non-story.
The next series of the Great British Bake Off will be ruined by Sandy Toksvig and helped out. Actually, that'll improve it. Noel Fielding
Toksvig's good.
Excuse me.
Sandy Toksvig is very good. She's very urbane and very
boring.
No, she's not. She's funny. She can be funny.
She's not
Who's
at all.
the lady who used to do it with the short hair and wears a lot of suits?
Yes, that's her.
Is that her?
Yeah,
that's her.
I like her. I watched her show that comes straight on after Game of Thrones. They do a game recap. She's hilarious. I love her.
She's very, very funny. She's very, very erudite, very intelligent, very witty, very funny, quite charming.
Boring.
And has quite an exotic lifestyle.
Boring.
You'd love her if she was in a Formula One car, Uncle Eric.
Yeah,
that'd be different, but she'd have to lose a few kilos to get in one of those. Prue Leith is judging the contestants, and I'll give it 2 series. And it'll die.
What, the new... it's like Top Gear, isn't it? People are... You know, what's happened now? People are accepting Top Gear. Not the Grand Tour, the original Top Gear. People are accepting it, but what they're actually accepting is its mediocrity. And that is amazing. People say, yeah, it's fine now. It's just not very good. So we'll watch it. And that's what's going to happen with Bake Off as well. It's two of the biggest shows that the BBC have just murdered.
Well, they just lost them. That's the whole point. Social media companies are not working hard enough to remove hate crimes, according to a parliamentary committee group in the UK. Really?
Yeah. Really?
Do you know? Can I just share something? There are people who are part of a monitoring group on Facebook who are helping Facebook to get rid of bad stuff. Yeah. And if you're a good community person, and I would suggest everybody becomes a good community person and helps out, because that's the way to do it quickly, rather than just relying on a bunch of guys sitting in the office who are overworked anyway, probably. And if you are part of that community, I think the best result I've had so far is a minute where I've reported something to Facebook, and I'll tell you what it was. It was somebody posing as a nice person. You go to their... And I know how it's getting to me now. I've got it all worked out, and we've had a little chat about it. And the way that these requests were coming into me was via somebody else. And these would have, kind of nice pictures. But then the words underneath were taking people to pornographic websites. And it's so easy to see. I'm reporting them, and honestly, in under a minute, Facebook are taking them down. So all you've got to do, instead of crying about it, is just flipping use the report button. There's one on Facebook. They've spent so much time putting it there. They're even messaging people and saying, come and join the self-help group. Well, I'm sorry. They just have not got a clue how Facebook works, or they wouldn't have been doing the sort of stuff that they're doing now, because it's easy.
It's sad that they need to do it, though, isn't it? So sad that this grand global voice of the global voice of every man and woman and child in this world, they have been given the right to that, and all they do is abuse it.
Well, the company doesn't abuse it.
I didn't say the company, the people.
Oh, the people, sorry. I apologise, Leigh. I apologise.
That's all right, dear. Lots of sorries today, isn't there?
With great... Seriously.
Are we listening?
With great... Even in our...
We're just filling in the gaps.
Even in our job, with great power comes great responsibility.
Correct.
Yes.
So... you must be a part of the global conversation. You must be a part of a community that does something.
Yes.
It's exactly the same as people moaning about Donald Trump, yet when there's a protest on, they won't go out and join that protest.
Mm-hmm.
So don't just sit there and cry about it.
It's like moaning and not voting.
Correct.
The best way to solve a problem is to take action.
And you don't have to take, and I'll clarify that, it's not violent action. You can do it.
No, press the report button. That's the action.
Absolutely.
Block people up.
Sitting there.
Yeah. And as you will see further on down, which we come to now, and we've only got a couple of minutes to go, so we'll crash through a few stories for you. Pakistan said that it's asked Facebook to help investigate blasphemous content. Now, blasphemous content to the Pakistanis is not necessarily the same as in the country where you are. It's a different set of rules, different set of religions, so on and so forth. So what have Facebook done? They've sent people out there to help them sort it out. They are being very, very responsible. Moving on quickly to the World Wide Web itself. And if you don't know, Sir Tim Berners-Lee was the guy that actually invented it in the first place. Yeah. And he's now going to put out a paper of his own showing how you can get to data with some clever coding, as it were, and stop unethical political advertising and harvesting of data. So he's actually come up... I mean, he designed the thing. He's taken responsibility on board, and he's saying, right, we can fix this. It's not a problem. And he's actually coming up... What a great man.
Yeah, I think he's really good.
Yeah, but when you think about it, it's all... When you think about it, it's all his fault to begin with.
Well, yeah, but he's taken the responsibility. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything at all. He could just sit there and that's it. But he isn't.
Has he become rich because of it?
Yes.
Right, interesting.
But what Rachel was saying beforehand is absolutely what Sir Tim Berners-Lee is doing. He's actually getting out there and doing something about it, and you've got to respect the guy for that.
I have nothing but respect for him and
what
he's doing.
Here we go with the last couple of stories because we've got 2 minutes left. For all the bemoaners, Toyota has just said it's going to invest £240 million pounds in upgrading a plant in Derbyshire to do more stuff in the UK. So that's kind of screwed up the Brexit thing a bit, really, hasn't it? Never mind.
And it's good of us to give them 21.3 million to help them out, isn't it? Yeah, they're not well enough off to do it themselves, are we? We've got to give them some dosh when we've got none.
They're giving 240.
And we're giving 21.3 million of that.
I think...
How many jobs are going to be created?
Correct, Mondo. Rach, it's time to share with the world. What are you doing this weekend?
I'm going to my very, very best favourite Japanese restaurant for dinner with some friends tomorrow night, and then the rest of the weekend I plan on doing nothing.
What you're Japanese orientated? What are you going to eat?
Oh, shabu shabu.
Oh, is that nice?
Shabu shabu.
It's nice.
It's a lovely thing in a lovely pot, and you cook your own food in this pot, and it's beautiful. And it's very good for you.
All right, Leigh, what are you up to?
I think I'm just going to go out and expose the ridiculous stupidity of the village of the Dam.
Lovely. Say goodbye, Sati.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Say goodbye, Rach.
Goodbye, Rach.
See you next week. Coming up next, brand new show. Steve Bishop is with us at the top of the hour here on Radio Tatras International. We'll be back next week, same channel, same time. Thank you for everybody for interacting. Good luck with the competition. RTI at worldofradio.co.uk. You could win a prize. Have a super week till next week and a lovely weekend.
RTI.